this video we are using Google Maps to produce a scaled base map as the key drawing to starting a permaculture design. I've entered the property address and switched to satellite mode, and when I'm selecting the view that I'm going to use, I'm trying to include some of the neighbouring property information. So that could be adjacent roads, it might include any buildings that are casting shade onto your property, anything affecting the wind flow, could be entering pollutants including traffic noise. It might also show you relevant borrowed views that are going to really improve the aesthetic of your design. So I'm taking a screenshot and I'm going to import that into a document, so just by copying and pasting, or you could save it in files and insert it as a picture file. I'm using a Mac. You can do all of these relevant processes in Windows or other operating systems, and if you're unsure on how to do those, it's probably just a matter of a quick search online to learn either the shortcut keys or some of the process on how to do it. So I take that screenshot, and once I've got that, I'm also, while working in Google Maps, going to measure a distance. So to convert this into a scaled drawing, we're going to need to have a known distance so that we can make sure that whichever scale we choose to work in, we can size our image correctly. So when we go into Pages or your Word document, what I'm doing is changing from the default A4 into a larger piece of paper. Most of my designs, I end up working on A2 or A1. That usually lets me fit scaled drawings anywhere from about 1 to 50 out to 1 to 300, which is about the maximum I go before I lose any detail. So setting up your page, you can look up the precise millimeters for your paper size online, enter those, and doing this means that when it comes to printing and then being able to draw over this for your design, you don't have to worry about any of those, like changing the print percentages or somehow trying to get its A4 drawing up to the right size, because you've already set your page up ahead of time. So on this blank page, I've inserted the screenshot, and going back to that known distance that we just measured, I'm going to insert a line, and looking at my page, I'm working out what scale am I going to need to work in. So I'm dragging out that line, and if I was doing 1 to 100, you can see that the line would have to be this long, and so when it would come to dragging this screenshot out, it just won't fit on the page. So 1 to 100 is not going to work. I'm going to take a guess at 1 to 250. So I'm taking the known length and I'm dividing it by 2.5. So that gives me a conversion from the meters down into centimeters. So I'm now going to resize that line so it is that amount of centimeters. So I've converted it in a 1 to 250 scale. There's a little reference to quick conversions there for you. So once I've got the known distance marked on the page, what we can then do is make sure it lines up, and then I'm going to be using the corner of the screenshot. So it's important that you drag by the corner so that you maintain the ratio. We don't want to be stretching the image in any way. And now that the image matches up with that known distance, I'm just going to pop it over to the side there with a reference, so that we can see not only are we working in 1 to 250, but we've got a reference for later on to the line that I used. So I'm marking in there at what scale it is and also the paper size, so that if you do happen to then print this design at a later date onto a smaller paper size, that you have reference to what was going on there when you were making those early decisions about scale. This can help you down the track if you go to change something. Now the next thing I do, because I'm going to be printing this off and tracing over it or drawing over it, I'm going to use nice bold lines to mark in information that I need to be able to refer to in my drawing. So here I'm marking the boundaries. So I'm just inserting lines and then dragging those over to where they're visible on the page. And for major vegetation, which is something you want to show on your base map, you'll see I'm just inserting circles. You might like to make them transparent if it helps you in sizing them appropriately for the trees that you can see visible on your property. This video, really what I'm putting together is to support when I'm teaching Permaculture Design Certificate work to students. And so there's a whole lot more to unpacking what goes into a base map, but you can see basically what we're trying to do is create a template to the property. So we've got boundaries, we've got trees. In this case, no structures, but you'd certainly mark those with appropriate squares, rectangles, triangles, etc. And when it comes to printing now, if you don't have access to somewhere that can print your design on a complete A1 page, what I'm just modeling here is where you can go into print settings and set it up so that you can print just onto A4 paper and then be able to collate that into an A1 size drawing. So it'll print it across a bunch of A4 pages and allow you to then combine those into the whole drawing. So there's your starting point for producing a base map, getting your property to scale on the page and ready to print so that you're able to draw and trace over it.